I think that's a great sort of segue into what I wanted to discuss because Christian's talked about it online, whether it's Blue Sky or the other place that's such a shell of itself. There's been thought of that, right? And at least looking again at the resources, you look for Seattle, this wrong one. This draft, 2025, they've got that second overall pick. Then they've got three other picks after that with their second rounder. They've got a third rounder that they got from the Mystics. And then they've got their own natural third rounder. And then if you want to look to 26, they've got four picks there as well. Uh, they've got three first round picks, sorry, next season. In the one from they got from Vegas in this deal, the one from Los Angeles, um, and then their own. They don't have a second round pick next year. They got a third round pick. So I mean, the assets are there if they want to try to move for something. But at the same time, I don't know what's available in the trade market right now, right? Like a bunch of players have already moved, right? So like sorry, to go back to the second overall pick, Christian, I know you've already talked about it online. You've talked about it in an article that we posted. But with the second round pick, it's fascinating because there's all this buzz about obviously Paige Becker's at the top of this draft. I know she's got a year of eligibility. From what I understand, it seems like she is leaning to declaring, but also there's the murmurs, right, of her not wanting to go to Dallas. So as much as that's a pipe dream, and you can insert the photo of Nika Mule, and Paige Beckers in their Storm jerseys here. Um, Olivia Miles has popped up as someone who's been really exciting, right? Can I just have you talk about Olivia Miles, Christian, and then what the other option is there? Because it seems like if it's not that, things kind of get interesting is the nice word I'll use. And Rowan, I know you keep your eye on some college basketball as well. So any thoughts you'd have in that regard as well, I'd love to hear from you as well.
You know, the pickings are pretty slim right now. I think this is more one of the more questionable drafts in recent memory. And I really think that's just because of course, COVID and players having that extra option to go back. But I really don't think that most of them will go back. But if there is one that's more likely to, it's probably Olivia Knowles. We've already seen cases be made as far as, she's played point guard, she played shooting guard next to Hannah. And I understand people may have, if she does come out of this drive, they kind of have some questions about that. But I think that's even better. Let's say Seattle drafts her at number two, she does come out. She has that experience, and I know people don't want to accept it, but Skylar and Neco, when they first signed this organization last year, they understood they weren't going to play forever. This team has a really good core already with Ezzy and Jordan Horston. Now, let's say you draft Olivia Miles, you keep building through the draft, you get a couple of players in free agency. That's a good team. But as far as actually getting there, the first step is actually drafting Olivia Miles. And, it feels like there was a tweet the other day that eight, the number eight pick is getting passed around. And that's what it feels like this number two overall pick is kind of now. I mean, I know those people are kind of outraged at the Sparks for saying, hey, we don't know if Olivia's actually going to be there. We can't get Paige now. So, we're going to trade away the number two pick and get Kelsey Plum. Like, I don't think that's a terrible idea. I mean, I kind of get it because what if she doesn't come out? And now Seattle's with the number two pick, and you kind of don't know who you want to get. But also, I feel like that's kind of an excuse because there are so many other great players out there. Like right now, as far as fit, I feel like I need some more really good on this team. She's kind of, maybe kind of an undersized four at this level, but she can shoot, she can dribble, and she's a really dependable passer. And her defense has gotten so much better over the last couple of years. I mean, I remember her watching when she was at DePaul, and then she went to LSU. And like the improvements are there. The improvement with the jump shot is there. Um, I know the Storm have plenty of bigs. They have the Euro now. They have Ezzy. They have NECA. Like I said earlier, Jordan Horsick can really play the four, play the five if you really need to at 6'2" and a half. But Dominique Malonga's right there out of France. She was 6'9", incredible length. I mean, you talk about defense. I mean, imagine her and Ezzy for the next 10 years and down low. Like that would be a great combo. Those are really the only two players that I've really thought about that would fit this mold immediately. Any other player I've looked at, and some of them are kind of projects right now. Man, I think everyone kind of knows that, which is why they're gearing towards next year, which is kind of more of the superstar lady class. But I'm interested to hear what Rowan thinks because she has her ear a little bit closer to the college beat.
Yeah, I mean, when we're talking about Paige, like I know that's been a big conversation of is Paige going to come in? And if she is, is there any way that it could be passed down to Seattle? But I honestly think that a big part of that conversation that hasn't been talked about is that Dallas is kind of winning at free agency. And so that adds a whole other layer where maybe Paige didn't want to go to Dallas in their roster, what their roster was last year. But you have Kurt Miller at GM who's like killing it right now. You get Dejanay Carrington, Melissa Smith. That could be a big pull. Maybe you still don't want to play with the team or the organization, but it might just be, okay, these teammates are here that, she might have more interest in playing with. Enrique's there, obviously, and always has been. And I know that, she and Paige know each other and obviously would love to play together. But I think that at a certain point, it might be too big of a hassle to try and shuffle things around now that there's, a free agent, now that the free agency is going the way that it is. So that's definitely part of it. I think that her coming to Seattle, Paige coming to Seattle is slowly getting a little bit further and further out of focus than what it was at the beginning. Everyone was kind of talking about it. I think you made a really good point with, well, one of the points that Christian made a few weeks ago that I think is really important in this time is not only the COVID, everything happening with COVID eligibility, but also injuries. Christian was mentioning that that's a huge thing just in college sports and drafting now these days. Olivia Miles, I know has at least one ACL tear. I could be wrong if she has multiple, but you have people like AZ Fudd and even Paige Beckers who are great players, have had these great moments, could all be a number one pick at one point or another. But you do have to think about that longevity wise. Are you picking a number two pick, a pick that you're wanting to build your team around that who knows, it could not work because of injury. So anyway, that's a small thing that is kind of on the side. But I think with the Storm, they're also really big on kind of those connection pieces to make sure that you have team chemistry off the bat. We've seen that in Seattle with all the Australians, with Sammy and Ezzy and just choosing Ezzy, who wasn't super talked about before she came in the WNBA, but the Storm front office knows these things. They know that these people are going to have chemistry. And so with Dominique Malonga, she obviously played with Gabby. So if Gabby does sign that, that's going to be huge, hugely important because they're going to know, okay, Gabby knows her. We know that this is already going to be something that could work really well. So I think that those are just things that people aren't thinking about. I think Olivia Miles could be a great fit, for all the reasons that you just listed, but there are a lot of other elements that go into it. And I think the Storm is one of those teams that, will kind of just choose people that some people don't really understand why sometimes, like again, with Ezzy. And clearly that's worked out for them. And they really care about that team chemistry aspect and longevity aspect as well.
Hey, Charles.
Hey, Jen.
Hey, were you going to watch the Seattle Storm away games this year?
Away games. Well, Rough and Tumble is the home of Circling Seattle Sports. So I was thinking of coming here if that's okay with you.
I think that makes a lot of sense. See you all here.